Wanna talk? So let's talk. Here. Talk. You wanna talk? You gotta talk, you need to talk. News talk.
I talk, you talk to Solomon. I talk, you talk to Solomon. Yeah, let's talk to Solomon. Talk to Solomon.
You gotta talk, you wanna talk.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Talk to Solomon. My name is Stan Solomon. I'm the host. My co-host is Brent Johnson, an internationally known talk show host. freedomradio.us is his website. Hey, Brent.
Hi there, Stan. And by the way, if you haven't been by freedomradio.us for a while, we've got a whole new look there, all kinds of new features. You really should check it out. It's chock full of info. Stan, something I didn't get to say last half hour, but when we talk about the mainstream media, these days I refer to them as the state-run media.
Well said. And I think that may be an insult to the state. I don't know which is worse. All right, our guest is Jake MacAulay. Jake, how are you?
Hey, I'm doing great. Thanks for the opportunity, Stan. Good to be with you again.
Appreciate your spending time with us. Jake, first give people a little background on who you are and who you're with and what you do.
Absolutely. Well, I work with Bradley Dean. Many folks know him. He's a colorful figure right now, not only in the conservative realm, but he's also a preacher as well. One of the things that we have made it a point to do is to give as much of the kingdom of darkness problems as possible by going into public high schools, doing assemblies and lyceums, going onto college campuses, and just roughing it up, doing what people say that we're not allowed to do anymore, although we've never lost the right. You can find more information. We have a radio show as well. It's nationally syndicated. sonsoflibertyradio.com. That's sonsoflibertyradio.com.
All right, now let's talk about, we were talking the last half hour with a great man who has put his entire life to protect the lives of unborn babies, this murderous monster in Philadelphia who, even though he's awful, is only the tip of the iceberg of the loss of morality. And we can almost pick up that theme with you. It's not that he did things wrong. It's not that he broke laws. It's that too many people, maybe even the majority of people, certainly the majority of politicians, don't have a problem with killing unborn children. Don't have a problem with sex between adults and children. Don't have a problem with so many of the things that we have been taught throughout human history, that there's right and wrong. And we have a movement in this country, you know, this tall homosexual guy, the ball player, Jason something or another, says, oh, ain't I wonderful, I'm a homosexual. And the answer is yes, you ain't. You're just wrong. And you're misguided. And you're going to hurt yourself and others. Comment, please, Jake.
Here's the culture war, I guess, in full-fledged and wide open. And you hit it on the head, Stan. Why are these things happening right now? Well, number one, because the people of America have tolerated their elected officials to not only destroy any type of standard and morality in society, but now it's going to destroying life. That's the fundamental issue here. And if we don't value life, of course we're not going to care when a politician commits adultery or gets his campaign manager pregnant. And if we don't care about that, why would we care if two men have sex with each other in the form of sodomy? And if we don't care about that, well then why would we care that our students are being taught homosexual sex in public high schools, also bestiality, which we saw in New York City going into the sex ed curriculum. Our president, during a sequester, when we're running out of money, he still has time to pump hundreds of millions of dollars through comprehensive sex ed being taught from the federal level. Nobody cares about the Constitution. There's so many atrocities that have been committed that have led up to this point. But I see it more as the inaction of the American people to hold their elected officials accountable. I do take a lot of hope, I guess, and solace in the mercy God has had through this issue with Benghazi. I know that's a separate topic, but why do we have this issue in the first place? Because the Supreme Court justices, who are ungodly, tyrannical, should be impeached and then should be held accountable for their civil crimes against the people, were allowed to say, even though there's no legislative authority in that branch of government, we're allowed to say, hey, we're not going to prosecute the murder of the unborn. Even though the Declaration of Independence says that we have God-given rights to life, it says we are created equal, not we're born equal. We're conceived, we're created equal. Our founders knew and understood. The Fifth Amendment said no man shall be deprived, or woman, of life, liberty, or property without due process of law. The Supreme Court comes in, hijacks that law, and says, and all the politicians hid behind them, including, I'm sorry to say, even President Ronald Reagan. All of these presidents up until this point have said, that's fine, we're not going to prosecute the murder of the unborn. Now we're quibbling over how people are murdered. The bottom line is this industry is horrendous. If we talked to people 60 years ago, my grandparents, and we would have said, hey, listen, we systematically dismember babies in our generation, they would have been horrified. It would have never been tolerated. But now at this point in time, in this day and age, because of the lack of godless values in society, that has been tolerated, Stan. And I don't tolerate it as a person. I go out and I do my best to fight against it daily. I don't care if that gets me in trouble with certain camps, that's just fine, but I'm going to take this head on to a next generation, because the kids that we reach in public schools, the kids we reach on college campuses, they say, you are not murdering my generation. And I thank God for that spirit, and I have hope in that spirit. But to the apathetic, I have no peace to speak to you. Your wealth is going to continue to go. All of your treasures, everything you've stored up is going to continue to go, because you've become morally bankrupt and you've become accessories to this wickedness that we're seeing unleashed on America today.
All right, let's get Brett to comment.
I am blown away. I think that was so brilliant. It just absolutely brilliant. Everything that he just said. I'm in total agreement. I'm absolutely stunned. It's like I said it myself. I'm in 100% agreement. What we have, okay, is, to sum it up, a lack of a moral background against which to measure our society's behavior. Okay, and like you said, if this is okay, then that's okay. If that's okay, then the next thing's okay. Why shouldn't the next thing be okay if all those other things are okay? And that's exactly the path the American people have embarked upon. And the only way out of it is to reassert yourself as a thinking being. Stop doing what you're told, stop obeying, and start considering. And unfortunately, I just don't think enough Americans are willing to make the effort. And
I'd like to say to that, Brent.
That's why we're in the problem. All the problems we're in today.
I'd like to speak to that. I'd like to speak to that, Brent. I believe there's a lot of Americans that are willing to assert themselves. They don't know how. They haven't been taught. We've been dummied down through public schools, yada, yada. I don't want to speak on things that I know, Stan, you educate your audience on. But I think one thing is important. We had Trey Gowdy on our program about 3 weeks ago. If there is no justice, why in the world would the criminal ever fear of committing crimes? And justice, when it's dropped off, what does it do? It permeates through society in the form of criminality. And as Jefferson said, the two greatest enemies to society are criminals and government. So let's bind the second one down with the change to the Constitution, lest it becomes a legalized version of the first. So that's what we have right now, is a legalized version of the first. If Benghazi, I use this just as a point of reference right now, Fast and Furious has came and gone according to legislature and Congress. And even speaking to Trey Gowdy, he said, yeah, it pretty much has. If this Benghazi thing does not bring up an instantaneous impeachment and then civil charges against this administration, let's face it, guys, they belong in jail right now. What that's going to do is going to teach the next generation there's no point in virtue. There's no goodness or reward in virtue. So why would I try to be virtuous? Why not lie, cheat, and steal? Because that's what I'm learning right now works, and that's what gets me ahead in life.
Well, your point's well made, and I agree with it. Let's kind of address Brent's point and yours. When you take a breath and you become a part of the human race, some would say it's how much can you get? Others would say, Christ comes to mind, it's how much can you give? Now, getting and giving isn't necessarily measured in dollars. That's one measurement.
Sure.
It might be measured in, have you taken the opportunities, obviously you have, Jake, Brent has, to do what you can do. Now, I'm going to quote a saying here, paraphrase it. I cannot do everything, but I can do something. And just because I can't do everything, it doesn't mean that something I can do isn't valuable. And if everyone does something, then everything will get done. So if Jake, you reach 2 in this classroom, and 4 in that classroom, and Brent reaches 6 with this article, and 5 with that broadcast, and all of us do what we can do, but we keep doing it, who knows? Who knows if we don't get it done?
I completely agree, Stan. We're accountable for what, you know, a lot of people say, well, we're going to go to God and be judged by what we do. And I don't necessarily see that as the case. If you look scripturally, I think it's we're judged by what we don't do. Do we have the opportunity to do it and we don't do it? Well, you're going to be judged harsher. I want to give some hope to both of you. I believe in the fact that we need to reach the next generation, so that's what we've made our mission at sonsoflibertyradio.com. We speak to the older generation, but we always stress the importance of reaching posterity. I mean, it's biblical, it's constitutional, it's what our founders did. If you look in the preamble, posterity is listed right there, to secure the blessings of liberty for posterity. I have had 3 different circumstances that have happened within a year's time. This last one we did, we went to a college. We had a particular gentleman on there that was a Christian. His college was literally funding, it was called an anti-bullying campaign, but they had panels where they targeted Christian conservatives and how to shut them down, calling them names, doing everything that they accuse you and I of doing. You know, it's like, who really is the victim, who's the hater? So this student went to his college and he said, why in the world are you taking my tuition dollars and taxpayer dollars, it's DMAC College in Des Moines, Iowa, and why are you funding stuff that is directly contrary to my beliefs and then attacking my beliefs? I want to have a Lyceum on my school. He couldn't find anybody to do that. He found Bradley Dean. We went there. We did an assembly program. This student then sued his campus because he was trying to hand out flyers to raise awareness of what his campus was doing. Campus security stopped him. Said, you cannot do this. We will put a restraining order on you if you continue to persist in this. In other words, cease and desist. This student went and got an attorney. I'm talking about a 19-year-old kid. Sued his school, just won. His school is now writing a new policy, and they're asking him and his attorney to write it for them. We had a high school student down in Florida, Spanish River High School in Boca Raton. Bradley Dean stepped on campus. The 16-year-old junior said, hey, listen, I want to have an American club on my campus. I want to talk about constitutional values, conservative values, and Christian values. He has a right to do that. He's a 16-year-old student. We show up, they find out Bradley's going to be there, they cancel the assembly, said, you are not speaking on this campus. One of the teachers did, said it to Bradley. And then the student said, what are you talking about? This is my group, I'm having him as a speaker. They said to him, and we have it on camera, you have no First Amendment right on a public high school. We're not talking about Russia here, we're talking about America. So this student, along with Bradley Dean, gets a law firm involved, Liberty Counsel, Matt Staver down there. They had a letter on that principal's desk by morning. I'm talking about a student too, guys. It's not just all of us old guys here. A student. They said to them, you will have this speaker in and you will have a federal lawsuit on your hands. The school then shuffled around, scared. It was making national press at this point. It had broke on worldnetdaily.com. And they said to the student, okay, fine, bring Bradley in 2 weeks. We ended up doing the assembly in the very classroom of the teacher who said that we could not do this presentation on campus. It was beautiful. These are the victories we have when we assert ourselves. Troy Newman is a friend of ours, talking about the Gosnell case. I guess, who's the guy on CNN? I can't recall his name, one of the anchors. I think he's actually a flamboyant homosexual as well.
Yeah, you're talking about, what's his name? Cooper. Anderson Cooper.
That's right, 17 minutes he's talking about this case because Christians and conservatives throughout the country put so much pressure on mainstream media. Now, I don't consider that the victory. When justice is done, that's the victory because that's what will send the message. But even the president addressed the issue. That was a lot of pressure. Because people stand up and assert their rights, folks, we win. We win, Stan, when people take what they learn on your radio program and they apply it into society. That's how we win. And I see a lot of hope in that because it doesn't take a majority to prevail. To quote one of my brothers, a son of liberty, Samuel Adams, it takes a minority, an irate, tireless minority, keen on setting brush fires of liberty in the hearts of men, those that we love. If we love Christ, if we love our country, we'll serve him through our action and demonstration.
Well, the Fortune magazine just named Tim Tebow as the most influential athlete in America. Tim Tebow isn't even playing at this point. He's not even on a team. Tim Tebow is not the most influential because he's the best athlete ever. Maybe that's LeBron James. He's not the most outlandish athlete. Maybe that's this homosexual guy. He's not. He is what he is he is the most comfortable making God number one.
That's right.
As opposed to himself. That's why he's influential.
Amen. And I think that's who God honors, isn't it? I mean, when we do our all for him, you can't consider the fact that I can do impossible things, but I can through Christ that strengthens me. And I'm a preacher, so I'm going to preach that. That's my hope, Stan. I can't do this alone. You can't. None of us can. But we can through God empowering us. And I see a lot of mercy right now in this country. Listen, the darker it gets, the brighter the light shines. I found that to be a fact when reaching the next generation. Where people say you can't go there. Shine a little light. Irritate a few people. We've irritated quite a few in the ministry. Actually, Bradley, who's the main host, is suing Rachel Maddow right now. And MSNBC.
For what, impersonating a human being?
That's right. That's right.
All right, Brent, I want to make sure you get into this. Have you a comment here?
Yeah, first, I absolutely love everything that Jake is saying. It's fantastic. You and I are kindred spirits. And I love that you selected the Samuel Adams quote in what you were talking about. He happens to be my favorite quotee of the founders.
Amen.
Although my favorite, I suppose, is "If you love wealth greater than liberty, etc., etc., go from us in peace."
That's right.
I wanted to refer you, Jake, to an article I wrote a couple years ago. It's on my website at freedomradio.us under Articles by Brent Johnson, and it's worth a read. It's called Organized Crime with a Badge. And it's exactly what you were saying before about you have the criminals, you have the government. The government is basically doing what the criminals are doing and making it legal. I call that organized crime with a badge. So we're very much in the same arena, the way we're thinking.
Let me comment here on a fellow named Dan Savage. Now, maybe you have the misfortune of knowing this man is alive, both of you. But Dan Savage, in his latest outburst, now Dan Savage is a homosexual, filthy, disgusting piece of garbage that makes a used suppository look attractive. Now, his latest thing is he wishes cancer on Sarah Palin because he hates her because she is against homosexual marriage. Well, Mr. Savage, no, I should say Misfit Savage, or whatever you want to call yourself, you and everyone in America and in the United States, in the world, who practices homosexuality or promotes homosexuality is hurting and or killing people. You, the world could do without. And that's fact. That is fact. Now, you can call me hateful. You wouldn't be the first. You won't be the last. And I could care less if you do, because you have no merit to your side. And though God loves you and Christ loves you, my favorite saying is, Jesus loves you, I don't. Best find him before I find you. Because I will not wait for garbage crossing the road.
That statement will definitely make headlines, Stan, but I think to get back to this point of Dan Savage, Sarah Palin, I made a statement once in a high school assembly. It was in Dunkerton, Iowa. Within a couple days, Yahoo News picked this up. It had over 150,000 views, like, instantaneously. I talk a lot about music in this culture. Now, Dan Savage, he went into we all know his background. This man is so sick. He licks door handles to try to get people sick. His political opposition, he said, I would like to see them dragging behind a truck until all that's left is the rope. This man said that he would like to bone Rick Santorum. The only thing that keeps his genitals from Brad Pitt's mouth is a piece of paper. This man, he outdoes himself, and frankly, I love when he does it because it shows the real mask behind this GLBT or the sodomite agenda. It's very clear. When I was in this high school, I was talking to students. I brought up Elton John, who the gays like to bring up as their icon, because he is gay. He's flamboyant homosexual. He made a statement to, I believe, Rolling Stones. He said, I crave to be loved. There's nothing wrong with going to bed with somebody of your own sex. I think people should be free with sex. They should draw the line at goats. And I let that statement settle in with these high schoolers who are thinkers, and I said, is that a good moral standard? Would you want your young son or daughter to have Elton John teach them moral standards? The entire room synonymously said, absolutely not. And I said, well, why do they allow this man's music through things like Lion King and promote him as a good family values type of guy? Well, none of the kids could answer anything. Within a couple hours after the assembly, we had rave reviews from the students, from the principal. I also talked about the abortion topic during that. I showed them a picture of what it is. I talked to them about bands that promote it, and I just asked them, is this something you think we should be promoting to young people? Of course, the kids say no. Common sense says no. Anybody listening to the Gosnell trials knows this man is a horrific criminal, and every politician that stands behind him is equally criminal. As we left that school, the press got involved. They wrapped it all up, and they said that you would think the Texas Chainsaw Massacre was at this particular school. But we didn't stop at that. We used that as a stepping stone. Yeah, if people think we're horrible, then let's show the people what we're talking about. We were offered another venue, and it was in a different city because the fire chief said he would not allow us to come back in that town. He would block the roads if he found out we were coming. So we went to a different venue and shared our message, made national news, went up into Canada, went all over the country. People watched the YouTube clip, and you know what they said? Hey, this is reasonable conversation. I can understand this point. Guys like Dan Savage, I love when he makes headlines because he just further compounds our stance. We can come in on the backside and say, now, are you going to listen to what we've been telling you for the past decade? Go look up to Canada. Are you going to listen to what they're dealing with for the past decade? They're trying to lower the age of consent to 10 years old. These are homosexual radicals. They want little boys. Let's just be out front and open with it. And you know what Dan Savage is? And I think it's working for us, folks. Let's step on his head. I'm saying that tongue-in-cheek right now, but let's step on his head. Guys like that belong in jail. And until guys like that get into jail, we're not going to have peace in this country. But I think he's making his own bed. He published a book called Skipping Towards Gomorrah. Well, you keep skipping, brother, because God is not mocked. Whatsoever a man sows, that he shall also reap.
And he will learn that, I am sure, the hard way, if you'll pardon the pun. Go ahead.
Stan, if I may, before we go to break, because I have some feelings about this. My producer, Lee, had cancer. Now, she was fortunate. She had one of the two cancers that they absolutely know they can cure, and she's fine. She's a survivor. She's okay. But, okay, I was with her for a good 7 to 10 month period throughout the pre-treatment, treatment, and post-treatment period. And it's a very serious thing. And for somebody, even flippantly, to go out there and say, I wish you had cancer, you're a good excuse. You know, you're a good justification for the existence of cancer. I mean, however glib the comment, however inoffensive it may have been intended, I think it is passing the line of what's okay. Absolutely passing. And by the way, who is Dan Savage? I mean, why does he get such national attention?
Well, I'll let Jake answer that.
Well, I think because he works for the agenda. Listen, this guy had dinner with Barack Hussein Obama in the White House. Him and his, it's not a husband, him and his gay sodomite lover. These guys fit the card. I think it's God's mercy that this is being exposed out there. And to your point, Brian, he's serious. This isn't a joke. It's not tongue-in-cheek to them. Until conservatives realize this is not a joke, these people are not misled. This is straight out of the Satanic Communist Manifesto playbook. You've got to demoralize people so they become weak. When they're weak, they can be controlled. And this is one of those moves. These homosexuals, and to any homosexuals watching this tonight, I love you in truth. You're going to get thrown under the bus once the control is gotten. I don't care if we got a gay president in there right now. I don't care if the homosexual lobby wins houses in Congress. You're next. They're going to turn on you just like they always do through society. You're being used to destroy the First Amendment. You're being used to destroy religious liberties. And guess what, folks? It's not going to fly on Judgment Day, and I am here. The Sons of Liberty are here. You all are here watching to make sure it doesn't happen in this country ever.
By the way, and we're going to close with this, most of you don't know the Nazi Party was born in a homosexual club.
You got it.
The brown shirts were queers, were
That's right.
homosexuals. And as soon as they got total power, you know what they did to the homosexuals. They murdered them. And you think it's going to be different with the thugs we have versus the thugs they had? Ain't going to happen. Jake, thank you so much for what you do. We look forward to having you back. God bless.
Yeah.
You got it. Thank you, Stan. Thank you, Brian.
All right, folks, stay tuned. Brett and I are going to have a half hour of open line in just a moment. My name is Stan Solomon, and you know if I have something to say, I'll say it. And I'll only tell you the truth because I'm a Republican, not a Democrat. Democrats always lie. Republicans only lie half the time. I don't lie at all. This is the Fuel Mule. It's an extraordinary product that was developed by a friend of mine, an engineer, and it increases the fuel mileage on your vehicle. If you have a combustion engine, this will increase your mileage by 10 to 20%. It bolts around your fuel line. You can install it yourself or have your mechanic do it. It is an extraordinary item, and it flat works. I've been using it for more than 10 years. It's increased my mileage on every vehicle I put it on, and by the way, it will last forever. You can get rid of your vehicle, just take it off and put on the next one. Go to cpnlive.com. You'll have more information there. You can order it right there. We absolutely guarantee you'll be satisfied. The Fuel Mule. It's a way to kick down your cost of fuel and kick up your mileage. Don't you love the name? I thought of it. The Fuel Mule. I like to eat. You like to eat? We all do. And usually we run to the grocery store, we run to the convenience store, or we have something in the fridge. But power's been out in parts of this country in the last few weeks. We don't know what's going to come down the pike economically. Smart people are putting in food. Alpine Air Gourmet Reserves is a line of foods that you can put away that will last for a very long time. You know, they say eat what you store and store what you eat. This is great tasting stuff, healthy for you, a full line. You go to our website, cpnlive.com, and click on the button for Alpine Air Gourmet Reserves and see all the different things we have. This is good tasting food. It's reasonably priced. It will last. And it's worth its weight in gold if a problem arises. I know you don't think there's going to be anything that goes wrong. Actually, you do. This is smart. This is smart insurance. This is smart preparation. This is smart thinking. You have kids, you have a spouse, you have parents, you have dependents, you have an appetite. All those things can be addressed by a frugal but smart investment in Alpine Air Gourmet Reserves. Try them out. You will be tickled to death with the taste of them. You know what? In many cases, people start to eat this and they think, heck, this tastes better and costs less than what you're going to the grocery store to buy. cpnlive.com. Check it out. Do you like being healthy? I do. In fact, this product, which I've been taking for years now, is absolutely the answer. Now, you may not believe it, but I'm actually 21, plus tax, of course. This product has 146 different healthful nutrients in it, and it's liquid, so it's bioavailable. It tastes great, and it's sugar-free. 1 ounce of Sonic Life each day will help you to maintain and enhance your health. It's a kind of a gift, well, that you'll thank your mom for, your husband for, your wife for, your kids for. Whoever you give it to, they're going to say thank you, and you are going to enjoy the benefits of having all the vitamins, all the minerals, all the nutrients your body needs in one very reasonably priced product. Just go to cpnlive.com and everything's right there. You'll be able to read all the ingredients. The price is right there, a flat price delivered to your door anywhere in the United States of America. Sonic Life is a gift, a great gift. Give it to yourself. I do.